How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the Blue Shifting. Welcome back to Chaoschild. So last time we're kind of reassessing ourselves in the mystery. We've established that Taku is psychic. He has the ability to move things with his mind, and he's actively practicing. So we've really stepped from the pseudo slices life right into our pseudo fantasy, I guess we could call it. Embracing his gigalomaniacness. And he has his D-sword. He hasn't been able to manifest yet, but he does see it beginning to manifest when he accesses his powers, which is kind of cool. Again, I think we did get a bit spoiled in Chaos Head with Taku being such a powerful gigalomaniac, where he didn't really end up following a lot of the rules apparently that everyone else tends to, for the gigalomaniacs at least. And maybe that's part of what this game is meant to try and explore more of, is that what exactly are gigalomaniacs and how do they actually manifest typically, where the Taku, Taku Prime and Taku Dweeb were such stark examples of extremes. So this is a bit more grounded in that way. That's kind of cool. And I'm also curious to see where this mystery is going to go, because now we're probably coming up on the next attempted victim, but it means that we are a potential choice since they seem to be exclusively hunting these gigalomaniacs. So what's that going to end up being like? And now this investigation stepping from this hey, let's figure out what's going on, into let's try and not die. But we have Kurusu back on our team, so that's going to be good. All right. Anyway, so we did a lot of kind of world building and playing with the dartboard. We might have some more of that here in the future, but it really feels like it's changing gears now, so that's kind of why I stopped here. So let's see what happens. I'm not really sure where we're going from here, other than the fact that Burning Girl we need to keep track of. Oh, and her motivations are odd too, because she's been setting fires around the locations where people were attacked, and I was hammering on last time, and I still think it would be really relevant to understand. Is she setting fires after one of these murders occurs or before? And if it's before, that means she must have an idea of how to tell when and where these are going to happen, which is very interesting. I want to know more about that. Either she's in the loop, because I don't think she's the actual murderer, obviously. They kind of already are thinking that, because why, if she sets fires to people, would she choose all these really roundabout, crazy ways to deal with people? So I don't think she's the killer, but she's somehow involved, and I don't know how much. In fact, I'm kind of curious if she's going to end up becoming a potential ally in the future. She seems really unstable, so it's very unlikely, but I mean, we might share goals, so she might be an enemy of my enemy kind of thing. Anyway, let's figure that out. Let's jump right in, shall we? There's a few other things I've been wondering about. Can we talk about them too? This is Ito.
頼む。まず一つ目な。
Alright, what else did you notice?
被害者は全員能力者だよな。犯人はどうやってターゲットの能力者を見つけてるんだ?
That's a really good question. I think a part of it is there's probably a registry that Nozomi used to have, maybe of people they were keeping an eye out for. But we know for a fact that the reactions to the 11th Rorschach, aka the sumo stickers, is the real telltale. So what they're probably doing is they put the stickers out next to the cameras, use the cameras, which they are whatever the company that put up the cameras is basically Nozomi 2.0. And they're using the cameras to watch for people having a strong reaction to the stickers, and that helps them identify their victims. I think it's mostly going to be that. Ito's question was a good one, and one I'd known was coming.
それについては一応考えてある。犯人は能力者を特定するために多分力士シールを使ってるんじゃないかと思うんだ。
I mean, it makes a ton of sense. But that's what's kind of cool, is that this realization really is what's going to point us in the next direction we need to go, which is whatever this, the company is. Whoever they are, they're definitely the ones involved here, because either that or they have someone inside who's leaking and or just simply is, having access to all the camera feeds. So even if they're not directly involved, which I'm pretty sure they are, I'm sure they're run by that creepy cult. But regardless of that, somebody in that organization definitely is involved.
力士シールを？
正確には11番目のロールシャッハ。AH 東京総合病院の地下にデータがあっただろ。
Yes.
あのシールを見せられた能力者は激しい反応を示すって。それは僕や有村も経験済みだ。
Yeah, unfortunately.
思い出しただけでちょっと
Yeah, I agree. Arimura closed her eyes and put her hand over her mouth. She must have felt like she was going to throw up.
大丈夫有村さん。はい。すみません。続けてください、宮代先輩。
ああ。で、伊藤や尾上は地下で見たと思うけど、街中のシールが監視されてたよな。カメラで。
Yeah.
能力者の素質がある人間を集めて、地下施設で実験するために。
Yeah, I know it's uncomfortable, but it is what it is. We gotta move on. I could see Kurusu's expression cloud over. She'd probably remembered her friend, Minamisawa Senri, who had been a test subject down there. It hurt to see her like that, but I decided that I had no choice but to stay on subject.
だから犯人は、あの地下施設の出身者じゃないかと思うんだ。力士シールの秘密を知っていれば、能力者の特定は容易だろ？シールを見て過剰反応を起こしてる人間を探し出せばいい。
Yeah.
事実僕や有村も力士シールのせいでパニックに陥った時、あの女に狙われたわけだし。
Again, he's kind of putting a lot of that blame and target on her, but the MO just doesn't match up. I really don't think she's involved. Not in the way that he's talking, at least. She's involved, I think, in a way that she was experimented on and she survived, but part of her survival is probably her understanding the point, motivation, and methods used by whoever Nozomi 2.0 is.
じゃあ、犯人は地下施設の監視カメラを利用してるっていうのか？それは無理だろ。あそこへ入るにはカードキーとか必要だし。
Well, I mean, that means the killer's probably got one.
それに、もう廃墟みたいだったよ。シールの監視とかされてなかったし、実験もやってなかったし。
No, that can't be the only place.
いや、あの施設にいなくても、シールの監視だけならできる。
The cameras.
え？
Kurusu nodded as if she understood.
タクルの言いたいこと分かったわ。
Mm-hmm.
カメラで監視してるとかじゃなく、実際にシールの近くで見張っていて、タクルや有村さんのような反応を見せた人を狙うのね。
I mean, that's fair. If we're assuming that the camera feeds that are all over the city to help protect the city only are routed to the basement hospital, perhaps. I still think that they're not. There's got to be another place they go. But yeah, sure. You could also have people standing by the stickers and watching and recording.
そう。パイロキネシストの女もシールの近くに潜んで待ってたんじゃないかな。クモの巣に獲物がかかるのを待つように。そして僕と有村が見事に引っかかった。
That's probably fair. If she was trying to target people who are gigalomaniacs, she probably does that because that seems to be her MO, is wandering the streets, and that's probably the best way to do it.
そいつは、しかし気の長い話だな。
でも不可能じゃない。
けどさ。
待って、その点に関しても今議論したって結論は出ないわ。保留にして次へ行きましょう。
And that's fair. I do think it's worth considering that Ito's pointing out that like it's a slow, drawn-out process and probably doesn't make sense considering the consistency of the attacks. And also, we gotta keep in mind, even if we accept that Pyromancy Girl is an opportunistic hunter, waiting for someone to pass by and attacking them, that doesn't line up with the MO because New Gen Killer is making parodies of the New Gen killings. They're targeting people on a specific day every time in a pattern that's recognizable, which, by the way, if you want to get away with murder, you don't do that. These are people making a statement. They want to cause emotions to rise. I think we're trying to replicate similar situations that set up the Noah 2 to be able to fire. You know, an uptick in emotional, like, just turbulence. And so by mimicking the new gens, they're basically walking the same path, and it's going to be even more effective because people, can look up and be more scared of what happened last time instead of just pondering when the next killing's going to happen. So the setup here is even better. Let's see. What else would there, like, I had so opportunistic doesn't match up with that. This is too meticulous for that. So again, really doesn't seem like Pyro Girls is the MO. In fact, Pyro Girl may be trying to intercept people they're going to target beforehand. Maybe she figures if she takes them out outside the pattern, it might disrupt the flow of whatever they're trying to do. And the other side of things is probably going to be that Pyromancy Girl, there's a good indication, this is something that they couldn't know about, but we know from the insight we've seen of the first two new gen killings that we got to kind of see, you know, over the shoulder a bit. We know that the person who knocks the door, like, you know, the knock pattern, was a herald of something, and I believe it is gigalomaniacs. I mean, like the actions that those two people performed and like all the victims, they seem to be under the influence of some other power, which, you know, feels like, you know, delusions being manifest into the world. So I'm confident that whoever's doing killings are gigalomaniacs. So I'm wondering if if Pyromancy Girl is actually, I guess her name's Senri, right? But I think she's hunting the hunter. I think she's trying to get the killer, but the only thing she knows is that they're gigalomaniac, and so in her mind, just go for every gigalomaniac I can see. So she sees two gigalomaniacs being driven by the stickers, acting nauseous. She recognizes that that's what they are and just goes to take them out, assuming they are involved somehow. That tracks really well. Again, enemy my enemy. I think she inadvertently targeted us because she thought we might be the criminal.
保留ばっかりだね。いいのかな。仕方ないわ。とにかく今は疑問点を出していくのが先だから。伊藤くん、まだ気になることがあるのよね。
Alright, so, Itoyu, what else you got?
あと2つなんだけど。
Ito asks his two remaining questions. Summed up, this is what they were. Going to just fast forward. We've spent enough.
なぜ今回の事件はかつてのニュージェネ事件と同じ日付に起きているのか。
Alright, again, my running theory is that they're trying to replicate what they were trying to do back, 6 years ago. They're trying to stir up emotions, get everyone primed up for the activation of something, most likely. Otherwise, it makes no sense for them to do it like this. This was intended to be scary and to have a pattern be noticeable. That's like, otherwise, what would be the point?
そもそもその動機は何なのか。
That's the one that we really don't know. I can only make assumptions, and again, that's me cheating because I know what happened last time.
なんだかまるで騒ぎになること自体が目的みたいにも見えるわね。
Exactly.
そうだな。
Everything from the dates to the way the murders were committed was chosen to be as sensational as possible. Was it just to attract attention, or was it a message meant for a specific person? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. If you take the angle that it's a message, the message target has to be Taku. Like, first game Taku, right? Like, why else would they do it like this?
それが犯行動機なんですかね。私知ってるよ。愉快犯って言うんだよね。そういうの。
I mean, sadly, yeah. It kind of is.
劇場型犯罪とも言うよな。
もしこの先もニュージェネ事件と同じ日付に犯行が行われるなら、次はノータリン事件と同じ日、10月23日ってことになるけど。
October 23rd, so that's coming up. Which also meant nothing was going to happen until then.
なるほど。だからか。
That's also why the pyromancy girl is probably not our suspect. Ito suddenly snapped his fingers as if he'd reached some grand conclusion.
お前と有村さ、パイロキネシストに襲われたけど、結局女は宮代たちを殺さなかった。
ああ。
Oh, so his theory is that she is the bad guy, but she didn't kill us because it wasn't time. But that doesn't make any sense. Why would she attack us threatening to kill us for no reason?
それって要するに殺す日じゃなかったってことじゃないかな。
殺す日じゃなかった。
Did that mean it wasn't my power that saved us? No, but it had really felt like she was going to kill us. I mean, it's like, it's one of the things where, like, you can't completely dismiss it because it's technically possible, but, like, it's like, really? Like, I don't know, that doesn't make sense. The more I thought about it, the more confused I felt.
それじゃあ、私はそろそろ生徒会の方へ行くけど、くれぐれも私のいないところで危険なことはしちゃダメよ。約束してくれるわね。
Oh, that's a change. Instead of just don't do anything dangerous, now it's like, wait for me at least.
そんな何回も念を押さなくても分かってるよ。
I mean, no, but she does because you constantly don't listen.
本当ね。
Exactly.
うん。
It had been a while since Kurusu had glared at me like that. Now that the Empress was back, she was scary.
ああ、そうそう。それからタクル、あなた。
Ah, Kurusu got up close and whispered to me.
今夜から青葉寮に帰ってきなさい。
I agree. Please do.
え？
狙われているのかもしれないんでしょ。今の場所に一人でいては危険よ。
By that same logic, Kurusu, however, that also could mean if someone's after me, I don't want to bring them to the clinic.
ずっととは言わないわ。しばらくで構わない。事件が解決するまでうちで暮らしなさい。
Yeah, that's a great trick to keep him there, though. Get him in the door, because you know once he's in the door enough, he'll stick around.
いや、でもさ。
ダメ。問答無用。もし帰ってこなかったら、こっちから連れに行くからね。それじゃ。
Okay, so it's not actually a choice anymore. Great. But she's got the she's got the right mindset, honestly, and she knows how to manipulate him, so it'll probably work. The other thing, she could also just threaten to just stay in the trailer with him. Before I could say anything else, she ran off to the student council room.
生徒会長のくせに廊下を走っちゃダメだろ。
ん？副部長、なんだって？
いや、別に。こっちの話だよ。
She wanted me to go back to the dorm. What should I do? There was no real need to listen to her, but knowing Kurusu, she might really come barging into my RV.
しかしな、いくら考えてもわかんねえことばっかだったな。
I agree.
そうですね。なんか頭痛くなってきちゃったよ。ねえ、タク。タク？
え？ああ、そうだな。
We hadn't really learned anything today. We had no proof, just a bunch of guesses.
なあ、久野里さんに相談してみるってのはどうだ？
久野里さんか。
Yeah, first of all, great idea, but A, I don't think she will talk to us. B, do we know how to talk to her? Like, where is she? Do we have her phone number? I kind of doubt it. Oh, wait, no, maybe she technically did give us her phone number when she realized we were gigalomaniacs. There might have been something like that.
ほら、彼女なら俺たちの知らないことをいろいろ知ってるんじゃねえのかなって。
ああ、それはやめといた方がいいっすよ。
Oh, right, but Arimura does have the number. I remember they could talk. Okay. Arimura shot down his idea.
なんで？
あれ？言ってませんでしたっけ？あの人ってば、私たちのこと人間だと思ってませんから。
Doesn't think of us as human, probably.
伊藤先輩だってあの人にひどい態度取られてたじゃないすか。それともそういうの喜んじゃう系とか？だったら私もそうしてあげますけど。
First of all, why? Some people might get off that. That's true, actually. So, like, you could technically ask that, but obviously you're joking. And B, why would you think we'd want you to talk to us like that?
だから俺はそういう趣味やねえっての。宮代と同じこと言うな。
Arimura had gotten to the same idea about Itoa that I had, and I laughed a little. And then Arimura turned to us with a smile and continued.
別に冗談じゃないんですけどね。私、人の言ってることが本当かどうかわかるんですよ。
Oh gosh,
久野里さん、私たちによくひどいこと言いますけど、本気で私たちが死ねばいいと思ってますから。
Oh, that's actually really sad if that's true. Aw.
え？
That was a surprise. Did she really hate us that much? What's creepy though, like here's the thing. Arimuna can tell when people are lying, right? she knows we know that. We started to trust that. But now she can manipulate us because once we assume that she always can tell, she could just tell us things and tell us that it's true. And we just believe it. So it puts her in a powerful position. I'm sure this is a tool that she has used, that she will lie to people about what they're lying about. And that's a powerful weapon. If people, especially for the people who believe in her power. What did we do? Arimura continued on in the same chipper tone a girl might use to discuss after-school plans with a friend.
あの人の目には私たち害虫駆除のための実験台にしか見えてないみたいです。害虫と同じ扱いでいいんですか、伊藤先輩。
After the meeting with the newspaper club ended, I brought a Mountain View at the vending machine at the cafeteria and sat down on a nearby bench. I've been thinking so much I was exhausted. I opened my plastic bottle and gulped down the bubbling carbonation inside.
Mata それ飲んでるのかよ。お前ほんと好きだな。
Ito brought a can of the black coffee and sat down on the bench with me.
けど、さっきはびっくりしたな。
You're talking about the whole, like, she actually doesn't see us as human. Yeah, frankly, I'm kind of surprised. That's probably how most super genius people see everyone.
お前の能力だよ。
Oh, that's fair. That's true.
ま、僕自身もまだ驚いてるけどな。
とにかく感心したっていうか、普通にかっこよかったぜ。
I mean, his counter's gonna be like, I just made a pen float. It wasn't really that big of a deal.
やめろって、男に言われても一つも嬉しくない。
That's something the heroine says to the male lead in a romantic comedy. And then the hero falls in love with them, maybe.
いや、それもないな。
A series of faces flit through my mind. Setika with her dopey laugh, this ever-angry Kurusu, Kazuki playing ESO2, and Arimura and her acid tongue. But I couldn't imagine starting a romance with any of them. Okay.
なんだよ、せっかく褒めてやったのに。よっ。
Ito threw the empty can into the garbage bin.
あ、惜しい。
全然惜しくないだろ。
The garbage can had a lid and only a small hole to throw the cans in. Of course, there's no way you could get it inside.
なな、またやってみせてくれないか？
何を？
だから、能力だよ。
I mean, I honestly would be tempted to just do it. I'd be like, anyone else around? Ito looked around the cafeteria as he spoke, making sure no one was too close to overhear him.
え？
Was that why he'd thrown the can? Oh, interesting. We haven't had one of these in a while. Fortunately, it was after school and the cafeteria was just about to close, so there weren't any people in the room. Nope, not skip. What am I doing? Where's the... It's not letting me... Oh! Interesting. Hang on. I feel like I'm missing something here. Okay, so we're gonna go to the next save. Because this is a safety save. Because why does it say skip here? Because I can bring up... It's supposed to be Z and C that let you flip between the two. But it almost feels like... Yeah, like it says skip. There are only a few groups of people who are probably chatting about nothing important, two boys and girls instantly reading their books. So it doesn't have a negative, it only has a positive delusion. Interesting. That's different, we haven't seen that yet. Nobody was paying attention to us. I didn't think anyone would see me and make a fuss, but...
お前ってどのくらいのものが動かせるんだ？重さとか大きさとか数とか。
That's a really good questions, actually. Stuff that I would want to test.
その辺はまだテストしてないな。
じゃあ、狙いは正確なのか？ターゲット以外のものが動いちゃったりしないのか？
それもまだ。
He had a good point. Would be a good idea to test those things out. What should I do? Okay, let's try this.
遊びでやるんじゃないぞ。能力を磨くためだからな。
I mean, honestly, we should. We should practice if we can. I feel like we're still too, in public. And I wonder if this is like an actual trigger event. Like, it only gave me one, but I wonder if this is one of those things that determines what ending you get.
お、そうこなくちゃ。
あと、横から余計なこと言うなよ。意識を集中させないとちゃんとできないんだ。
I stared at the can that Ito had just thrown. I imagined it flying into the little hole in the garbage can. There it is. I could see my D sword appear in the corner of my eye. I'd gotten pretty good at that part. The next part was the hard one. I tried to focus on the image in my mind.
Miyashiro, stop!
Oh.
Huh?
It was interrupted by a quiet yell from Ito.
なんだ?
Surprised, I turned toward Ito, and then my mouth flew open in shock. I hadn't seen them because the vending machine was blocking my view, but the two girls were walking up to the bench. I saw them and panicked and tried to shut down my power. But that was the worst thing I could have done. Oh gosh. Oh no. Wait, it's another choice here. But it's only the one side. So is it now like I've entered into the realm of pure delusion where like the natural path is like the negative one and ignoring it is the positive? The coffee can ended up heading toward the girl's feet instead of the garbage can. Oh, see, now I'm tempted to just not activate this because I want to see what happens. Yeah. I'm gonna try and ignore it. She didn't see it coming. There was a chance she might slip on it. If she hurt herself, it would be my fault. What should I do? Should I use my power again to stop it? I didn't react quickly enough, and just as I thought, she slipped on the can. The girl next to her grabbed her and managed to keep her from falling. But the girl's skirt flew up, and at the last second, she grabbed it before I could see anything. I shouted without thinking, and the two girls turned and looked at me. You idiot! Wait, I didn't see anything. I couldn't see anything from where I was sitting.
やだ。最低。
Oh no.
違うんです。これは事故と言いますか。見るつもりもなく、というか何も見てなく。
Oh my gosh, you idiot. But the two of them stared at me in disgust and pressed down hard on their skirts and ran up the stairs toward the classrooms. What was that about? I didn't see anything. And if you don't want anyone to see your panties, maybe you shouldn't wear such short skirts.
Ho ho. Aoka.
You shut your face. Ito got a good look at least.
いや、それよりもだ。
Ito got to see what was under her skirt, and I didn't. And when they turned toward us, he looked away at the speed that rivaled being a psychic power in his own way, pretending he'd seen nothing. So I was the only one who got branded a pervert.
おい、伊藤。
いやー、すげえ能力だな、今の。
You be quiet. I was pissed, but for some reason, Ito was looking at me with newfound respect.
何？
こんなにうまくスカートの中を覗けるなんて最高だ。尊敬するぜ。
You shut your face.
そんなの狙ってない。
え？違うの？
No!
違う。
なんだ、つまんね。
お前も帰れ。
いや、よく聞けよ。
No. He's gonna say something really disturbing now. Ito suddenly looked on the air of a scientist and leaned forward closer to me.
近い、気色悪い。
いいから聞けって。
なんだよ。
お前は、今、俺たち男子生徒の神になったんだ。
Oh my gosh.
は？
What the heck is he talking about?
あ、タクとしんちゃん見つけ。
Hey. As I furrowed my brow, Seneca came down the stairs toward us.
こんなとこにいたんだね。私もなんか飲もう。
Thank you for injecting some sanity.
マウンテンビューにしろよ。
Seneca nodded hesitantly, then put her coins in the vending machine and hit the button for the drink next to the Mountain View Dr. P. Yeah! She's got good taste. There was a thud as the bottle dropped to the bottom compartment.
宮代、今だ。
No.
あ？
あのペットボトルを床に落として転がせ。
なんだよいきなり。
いいからやってみせろって。これも能力の訓練だから。
No, no.
ああ。
I didn't really know what was going on, but I tried to visualize the bottle Seneca was reaching for falling to the floor. Don't do it. The D sword was still there in the corner of my eye, and it was easy to send the image to both of their brains. The bottle flew out of Seneca's hand just like I wanted. And it rolled along the floor just like I'd envisioned. Seneca stretched her hand out toward the bottle and ran after it. No. Of course she was leaning forward. Oh dear.
ふむ、予想通り純白フリルだったか。
You. From where Ito was looking, I could tell you could see your panties perfectly. I agree. If I took a half step forward, I could possibly see it too, but the half step felt very difficult to take. It's very difficult to take, yes. Finally knew what Ito was after, but I couldn't stop the bottle from rolling quickly. Seneca was running after her with her hands stretched out and her back toward us. I stood up from the bench and moved between Ito and Seneca.
何をするんだ、神様。
What are you doing, God?
だってな。このエロ神、さては独り占めするつもりか。
人聞きの悪いこと言うな。
Alright, we gotta see where this goes. Trying to hide Seneca from his gaze, I imagined something else. This time, it was a bottle coming to a dead stop in Seneca's hands. I ended up saying something weird, but this time I used my full power to stop her. But then...
みんなここにいたのね。
Uh-oh.
っていうか、何してんのセリー。
Oh. Oh no, they're all too clever. Oh no. Kurusu, Arimura, and Kazuki were all coming down the stairs.
よりによってこんな時。
I got completely distracted. And instead of the bottle coming to a stop, I imagined something entirely different. It was probably because I'd imagined what Ito had just witnessed, but I ended up thinking about a naughty article I just read in Cool Cat Press. Oh no, I am living a regret already. This is not what I expected. Oh no. How to take a girl you want to bed. Tell from her underwear whether she's up for it tonight. Was the name of the article, and it had pictures too. I remember saying, if the girl's showing you her underwear, of course she's up for it, but all girls were wearing different kinds of underwear. After taking a moment to appreciate from the academic standpoint the variety of underwear on offer, I started trying to guess what kind of underwear Seneca would pick, or maybe Kurusu. No, don't be stupid.
そんなこと今思い出したらダメだ。
Yeah, no, not when you have your, like, basically he's got his powers like a cocked pistol, like, that's a terrible wording here, but like, it's like primed and ready to fire. Any stray thoughts can become disasters. But the more I tried to stop it, the stronger the strange vision became. And suddenly I heard the sound of my destruction. Oh gosh. There was a small rustling sound as Arimura's skirt. No. No. Slowly but surely and steadily started to rise. No. Oh, we're going to hell, and they're gonna send us. They're just going to absolutely just rip our heads off.
Whoa!
Stop it! No! It went up past her knee socks and toward her absolute territory. And finally, her absolute airspace. Oh my gosh, these the words.
Yeah!
Arimata stood there for a moment in shock. They realized what was going on and pulled her skirt down.
Eh? Huh?
Kurusu and Kazuki were looking at her with wide open eyes. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Shoot, shoot, shoot! This wasn't good! I know. I know. We shouldn't. We shouldn't. We shouldn't. Seneca could probably laugh and forgive me. Actually, she might not even realize what had happened. But I wouldn't be that lucky with Arimata. And any second now, she's gonna realize it was because of my power. I gulped. No, at first I fully recovered her standing right next to her. If she figured out what I did, who knew what would happen?
Nani, 今の風?
Yeah, it was the wind! Must have been the wind! It was the wind's fault, not mine. So I didn't do anything. It's not my fault, haha! Quickly tried to come up with a new delusion, wind, and then I transmitted it to everyone's brains. I used my power softly to open a nearby window, and nobody noticed. It worked! It was as if they had been open the whole time. Now all that's left is for the wind to blow through the window, and it should be able to fool them. Come to think of it, the power of mine's amazing.
Huh? What?
A soft breeze, just strong enough to barely move your hair, grazed my cheek. The wind was weak. It was super weak. Gosh, there's temptations. The siren's call. No one else's skirt, neither Kushi's, no Kazuki's, no Setika's is moving at all. We're kind of committed to the bit at this point, though. Use the force, Luke! Arimata Alona turned to beet red, grabbed the hem of her skirt, and started frantically looking around. The gap between her behavior and how she normally acted was cute enough that I couldn't help but stare. Wait, no! There was no physical reason for Arimata's uniform to be the only one to rise up like that. This wasn't going to fool them all. I could use my power, maybe cause the air to convect. If I could, there was still hope. I could just create the wind. Oh my gosh, this is such a bad idea. Came up with a new delusion and hit everyone around me with it. Imagine a strong wind blowing. Imagine the air moving violently, creating a gust of wind. Oh my gosh. Oh no. That's not what I wanted. And then suddenly Kurusu's skirt flew up as well. Yes! Yes! Wait a minute! Oh no! Now it was Kazuki's turn to have her skirt suddenly flew up. Oh my gosh. Why are we commenting? It was next to Seneca that Arimata's skirt flew up again as well. Yes, it was a success! Why is Seneca looking so happy? This is a travesty. What a world we live in. I ran my fingers through my hair and whispered to myself. I was worried for a moment. I just barely imagined. No, stop looking smug. If you look smug, they're gonna know.
Huh?
Another soft breeze, just enough to tickle your eyebrows, brushed my cheek. Why is the wind so weak? It's too weak. But I could see the girl's white thighs in front of me and a more tantalizing sight above them. Well, no. As a healthy schoolboy, I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little interested. In fact, I wanted to make sure I got a good look so I could remember it later. Wait, why do I have to be so honest? I screamed at my power to stop.
やだもう。なんか変な風。てか本当に風なんですかこれ。
Uh-oh. The girls were clearly suspicious now, and they were holding down their skirts with both hands.
おい宮代、バレるんじゃないか?
Yes! Ito stood up from the bench and started to move backward, afraid, specifically afraid of Kurisu. And to make matters worse, one of the groups of girls that had been talking in the cafeteria was starting to move closer to us. They'd probably run out of things to talk about and decided to go home, but now they were looking at us in shock. Okay, we need to stop. We need to stop. This is too far. This is way too suspicious. They might think that the girls are lifting up their skirts to show us. If that happens, the whole school might think the newspaper club are a bunch of perverts.
どうする? もう一回やってみるか?
I hesitated. I could hear a group of girls start to whisper.
ねえ、何今の。なんかおかしくね。つーかさ、あれ生徒会長
Oh, such a bad idea, but are we committed to the bit? Are we committed to the bit? At this point, it's like we've got so far.
やだ。どうしたんだろうね。
やってやる.
I focus my mind to its utmost. Just need the wind to blow the way I want it to. The wind starts. If the wind blows up their skirts too, I can fix this misunderstanding and avoid weird rumors. Oh no! You understand, right? I'm just making sure. Don't just lift up skirts because I want to see their panties. Wind blow, skirt flies up. Don't get the order mixed up. With an explosion of mental force, I sent a vision from my brain to the others. Uh-oh. That did it. Finally. A gust of wind blew through the open window. The girl's hair started to fly up. But the wind still wasn't strong enough. It wasn't enough to blow up their skirts. Oh no. I added my power to the strength of the wind. He's gonna break the window. Now the girl's skirts flew up just like Kurisu's and the others had. We're never gonna get forgiven for this. We've just committed a cardinal sin. We're doomed. Stop it! For some reason, the sound was different from the last girl.
今の風何だよ、窓開けっぱなしじゃん。つーかなんかあいつに見られたし。
The girls quickly pressed down their skirts.
最悪。今日のパンツいけてないのに。そういう問題じゃないよ。
I was about to say that's an odd complaint.
いえ、僕見てないです。風にびっくりしていて。
As I whispered excuses, I saw the girl in the back fidgeting. Wasn't that the girl that made a slightly different sound?
ん？どうした？なんか急にね。裏のホックが外れた。
Oh my gosh.
何を?
What? The hook on her bra? What the heck kind of wind does that? What's wrong with my power? Well, I mean, I did kind of think she had big boobs, but just a little. Uh-oh. I need to, like, leave the country now. You all look busy. I suddenly felt a murderous aura, and I looked up in shock. My eyes looked with Kurisu, who was looking upon me with her arms crossed. And Arimura and Kazuki had their arms crossed too, wearing the same cold expression on their face. Sadako was the only one that didn't seem to know what had happened. She was looking between me and the others, confused.
伊藤おい、伊藤
He's gone, man. I turned around and searched for my best friend, but there was no one there. Instead, I could see a single shadow outside the window racing away towards the setting sun. I mean, he is smart.
伊藤
30 minutes later.
どうもすみませんでした
Ito was kneeling on the floor, surrounded by the girls. After 30 minutes of newspaper club inquisition, it was decided Ito was at fault. I'd done some things that weren't very good either, but in the end, I'd managed to make them understand that they were mistakes. Whew.
本当にもう二度とこんなことしちゃダメよ、伊藤くん。
深く反省しました。もう絶対にいたしません
I am impressed that we convinced them it was his fault. Like, he just was a catalyst. We did all of that. Ito bowed so low his face touched the floor. That's right, get madder. That's what you get for putting me through that.
だいたいタクルを変な風に乗せないで。おだてられるとすぐこういうことしちゃうのよ。お調子者だから。
I'd be like, in my defense, it started innocent. It became a spiraling out of control effect, and I kept trying to fix it. And it just kept getting worse.
そうですよ。宮代先輩って真面目そうな顔して実はエロ妄想全開ですし。
Oh. Yeah, it's true.
エッチな本とか結構隠してるもんね。
Why are you divulging state secrets?
タクル、それ本当？そういうの感心しないって言わなかった？
違う、お前の誤解だ。僕はそんな本ってなんでいつの間にか僕が責められてるんだよ。
Oh, that's scathing.
お前もそんな目で見るな。
とにかくいい二人とも以後絶対に能力をおかしなことに使わない、使わせない、約束よ。
I fully agree, but we'll see.
了解しました。
いやだから僕は最初からそんなつもりじゃなかった。
Oh, Arivana.
約束よ。
Yes, ma'am.
はい。
Ito bowed low to the floor again, as I did too. October 15th, 2015, Thursday. Okay. We have 8 days. The medical examiner system. Oh, hang on. Let's read that. We haven't seen a tip in a while. A legal system that allows for a coroner, as well as a doctor, approved by the region's government to perform an autopsy on a body that died under suspicious circumstances in order to determine the cause of death. Currently, the system is only in place in Yokohama, Nagoya, Osaka, Kobe, and the 23 wards of Tokyo. Many people believe that Japan lags behind the rest of the world for this reason, and while calls for this system's expansion are voiced every year, there are still no signs that any change will actually take place. Okay, so I'm guessing it's out of tradition, like of respecting of the dead. Even though they do cremation primarily, it seems that like even in the pursuit of like trying to find the truth, it's like kind of a protected right, I would guess. That would be the only reason I could think of why they wouldn't allow for this, is because like there's that idea of the respect for the dead and, you know, for the families as well. The system allowed for the examination, or in some cases, an autopsy, to determine the cause of death in accidents or when a person had died from disease or an unknown cause. The work of the medical examiner is done as follows. In the evidence of an unusual death, the forensic officer first conducts an examination, which is followed by a death investigation from the medical examiner. Anyway, I know what this will be, but still. Death investigation, the process of having a doctor determine the time and cause of a body's death. If the death is ruled to not be abnormal, the death certificate is created and the process ends there. However, if the death is ruled abnormal, the body is sent to be autopsied. If the cause of death can be determined, the body is then turned over to the family. If the death investigation fails to determine the cause of death, only then does the examiner conduct an autopsy. And if it's judged that a crime was involved, or a further more expansive judicial autopsy is conducted, but such an autopsy has already been performed on Watabe Tomoaki. It was extremely unusual for a second autopsy like this one to be performed.
どうだ
Shinjo averted his eyes from the coroner's knife. He'd been to many judicial autopsies, but this was something he'd never gotten used to. He probably never would, he thought. As for the person standing next to the coroner, she was staring at the open skull without the slightest trace of disgust.
やはり肥大化の傾向が見られるな。
Interesting. So there's actual brain damage when someone is made to have a delusion.
肥大化というと脳が
Or, okay, so actually no, here. Two thoughts here. First of all, being a gigalomaniac might just mean your brain is like develops abnormalities. So that could be it. But secondly, you know how like the people who are under the effects of the abilities, like they cry blood, which by the way, Arimura-san did, even though she wasn't the target of the the love hotel scene, right? So that kind of makes me feel like that the oppressive, overpowering ability to like make these situations happen might in itself cause damage to the brain.
この状況で他に何がある？解凍された頭を見て内臓の肥大がわかるとでも言うのか？
Shinjo's shoulders slumped a little. When he'd first met her, he'd been unsure how to handle her, but now he actually felt kind of worried for her. Didn't that get tiring after a while?
さっき聞いた話じゃ死因は間違いなく窒息死ということだったが
窒息だけでこんな風にはならない
ってことはこれまでの被害者と同じってわけか、脳の肥大の原因については
何しろ検体が少なすぎる果たしてこの症状が一連の被害者だけに見られるのかそれともギガロマニアックスに共通するものなのか
Yeah, and it's not like we have a plethora of people to work on.
わからないか
知る方法ならあるにはあるがな
Maybe MRIs or CAT scans?
何
あの二人宮代拓と有村ひなえの頭を開いて調べればいいそうすればこれがギガロマニアックスに共通する症状なのかどうかわかるだろう
Yeah, but even if you actually are considering that, which I don't think you are, because as much as like they were talking about how she sees us as insects, I don't feel like it goes that far. She also knows it's not practical.
バカなことを言うなよそんなことできるわけがないだろ
う冗談だ今は CT や MRI があるんだ
Exactly.
わざわざ脳をむき出しにする必要もないなんだ私が冗談を言うのがそんなに意外か
I mean, that does sound like the kind of joke you would say.
いや
Shinjo thought to himself that she probably hadn't been joking. He knew Kunosato Mio didn't like gigalomaniacs. She hated them from the bottom of her heart. He didn't know why she just despised them so much. It's interesting, yeah. She has a personal, like, I hate them. Of course, there was probably a good reason for it, but he wished she would tone it down. They probably didn't become gigalomaniacs by choice, and more than anything, he didn't want to lose their help with the case.
さてこれからどう捜査していったらいいんだろうな
If there were still test subjects under the hospital, there were things the police could do. But when he'd gone down there, there wasn't a trace of anything left.
証拠ならあるだろ
Kunosato's voice was cold as ever.
証拠
何のためにあの娘を連れ出したと思ってるんだ知ってることを全部吐かせろ
But how? You implying torture? Because A, that doesn't provide any good information anyway, and B, she's a child.
おいおい相手は子供だぞ
子供じゃない危険なギガロマニアックスだ
Shinjo rubbed his temples, unsure of what to say. She's probably right, though. I think she is strong, whatever she is. Same day, October 15th. Frieza Credit Bureau. Momose Katsuko sat in the reception room in the messy corner of her office and sighed as she ran her head through her hair.
返してください。私は
返してください。
That's so sad. There's nothing there anymore. No matter how many questions Momose asked her, or how she tried to get Uki to talk, that was the only answer she would give. Sometimes she tried asking if there was anything she wanted or she felt like eating anything, but the answer was always the same.
お願いです。返してください。
She hadn't made even the tiniest bit of progress since the girl had arrived. Even the endless patient Momose would want to sigh after all that. Oh, she's got a stuffed Garo Froggy. That's really kind of sweet. She still didn't know where this Yamazoe Uki girl was from or how she'd ended up in the hospital. But from what she'd seen, there was a chance she'd endured significant abuse. And then she was suddenly rescued from it, then taken a completely different environment, so she must have been very confused. She knew from experience that victims like that needed to be treated very carefully.
私が早く帰らないと、皆さんが困ってしまうんです。
She kept repeating the same lines like a broken audio player. Momose was starting to think it was time for a different approach. She didn't know what would happen if she told the girl this, so she kept it a secret until now.
ちゃんと話して、現実を認識させてあげた方がいいかもしれない。
Are we going to tell her that the place is empty now?
お願いです。私はあそこへ戻らないといけないんです。
しょうがない。話してみようか。
Once she made a decision, she didn't spend any time on second thoughts. This was both an advantage and a disadvantage.
ウキちゃん。
はい。
そこまで帰りたいというのなら、教えてあげるわ。
返してくれるんですね。ありがとうございます。
聞いて。あなたがどれだけ帰りたいと望んでも、もう無理なのよ。
無理。
だって、あなたがいたあの場所、病院の地下にあったあの場所は、もうなくなってしまったんだから。
Momose was relieved to finally see shock on Uki's face.
よかった。この子にはちゃんと普通の感情がある。
Like Kunosato had said, they hadn't done any operation on her that would destroy her ability to experience emotion.
この前ね、あなたがここへ来てからすぐに刑事、若いくせにくたびれた刑事いたでしょ？彼が例の病院へ行ってみたんですって。
The girl simply listened to Momose speak, her eyes wide. Momose kept talking, watching her carefully.
それでね、解剖室から地下へ行ったそうよ。あなたのいた場所へね。でもね、そこには何もなかったって。あなたがいた部屋の中も空っぽだったそうよ。
そんな、じゃあ皆さんは、あそこにいた皆さんは。
いなかったそうよ。誰も。
誰も。
Uki seemed to be trying her best to understand what Momose just said. Honestly, the detective should take her back there. That could help build the bridges. She could see that it's empty, and then maybe she'll be more willing to cooperate when she realizes that she doesn't know where to go. Sad, but possible. And then...
嘘です。
そんな嘘ついて何になるの？本当のことよ。
だって、それじゃあ、私はどうすれば。私は、どうすれば。
Tears started to silently fall from Uki's eyes. Ah, back at the clinic, huh? Alright. I think we're gonna end here. It's a decent amount of time for us to stop. It's alright. Maybe we could go a little longer, but it feels like a good place to stop. Man, started off super fun and crazy goofy, full of, like, you know, theories and crazy wind. And then it just ended here, and that was depressing, but it is what it is. Alright, so here we go. We're diving back in. 8 days to the next murder, and we might be on the serving table for it. We'll have to see. That could be the really scary thing, is if we get targeted next. I could see it not happening to us, or another scary is Arima. What if she gets targeted next? Both are terrifying to think about. I'm curious to see how they play things out from here. Like, where's the next direction we're going to go? And what are we going to do to try and maybe mitigate what's going to happen? Because obviously, if we can, we should try and stop, or at least, get knowledge of what's going to happen or who the next target might be. But how are we supposed to do that? Stake out the stickers and look for people to have a reaction? I don't know. That just doesn't feel right. But anyway, we'll have to see what happens next week. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for joining me for the channel and just being a part of this adventure. It's good to be recording again. It's a lot. I have to find the time, make it all happen, but I'm grateful to do so. And I'm really happy to see you all enjoying it as well. Thank you so much for being here today. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you especially to the patrons and members who are supporting the channel. It means the world to me. And I hope that you find good things to watch on the channel, that these series are exciting, and that maybe some of the backlog, stuff I've already recorded might be of interest to you as well. I encourage you to check it out if you haven't. But especially thank you to the patrons and members. You all are amazing. I don't deserve you. Thank you so much for everything you do for me. And hopefully I make something worthwhile for you to come back to. So thank you so much. And until next video you're watching me, you have to see me in next. I'll see you there.